Hey everyone, welcome back, and this is going to be number 130. Now, this one is not in any alphabetical order. You've noticed I've kind of, it's always started with the A's. The reason I'm doing this one is because he's going to be listed on Macari soon to be sold, or he's going to go onto my shelf mantelpiece along with my other ones. But I decided to build this one. I'm surprised Mattel has not even fathomed building this one in like a two-pack ultimate set or even a solo standout. But here is WrestleMania 23 Ultimate HBK. Now, not the hardest one to do. You get yourself the HBK from the Amazon exclusive. You get yourself the one of the two, I think two or three Shawn Michaels we've had in this attire. Well, obviously two. Um, One being a basic would not be recommended. And then you just basically torso swap. I mean, torso swap. I did use the head from the basic 100 set, I think it was. I thought that looked phenomenal for that. So wanted to build this one. I've had, I've only seen a few Shawn. I remember my first wrestling match I ever watched was Royal Rumble '96, but I only caught like a partial viewing of it when Shawn was entering, and I watched it to see him win. Didn't understand the ramifications or what was important about it at the time. And then I would go on, miss a lot of wrestling, would convince my grandmother to buy WrestleMania 12, and I saw Shawn versus Brett in that Iron Man match, and became a wrestling fan at that moment, that instance. It wasn't Hulk Hogan for me; it was Shawn Michaels. In fact, when I started doing wrestling, or even when I was wrestling with kids back in the day in the yards, it was always his moveset I was trying to do. Now, the reality is, I'm 6'10" at this point. Even back when I was in my wrestling days at 6'8", 6'9", I was taller than Shawn Michaels by far. So I should have been really idolizing Undertaker, Diesel, or big guys as far as move sets, because I wasn't doing no flipping moonsaults or springboards out of the ring. And despite my best efforts trying, I think the best thing I ever did was get to the top rope and do a double doomsday onto two guys who it was a handicap, big man match. They were putting me over as a big guy, and I went up there and I got up there and I was like, wow, this is a lot farther down than I thought. So especially with a guy my size, that no one would take an elbow drop from me. They were always worried that I'd like break their chest cavity or something because how big and how heavy I was. So long story short, when I started doing these, I decided I really wanted to build a custom Shawn Michaels. I mean, I was, the Amazon one was good. Didn't have drop down hips, but it was the 95 era, and I didn't follow until 96. And then, of course, when he came back in the early 2000s, that's when I really followed him. The only other tire I would really want to see done by Mattel so I could turn into an ultimate would probably be when he returned to face Randy Orton. He had that like cream, tannish color, gold layout. I mean, obviously you've got his WrestleMania 25 attire, which is iconic. You got his 26 his retirement attire. But I always liked that color scheme. I think he wore that against Randy. He also wore that when he took on Batista in that stretcher match. I think when he lost to Batista in the stretcher or the ambulance, whatever the match was, where he had to stretcher. So I think it was right after Ric Flair got retired. So I'm happy with it. Again, like I said, it may go on Macari for more funds, or I may just put it up next to the WrestleMania 12 Ultimate Shawn Michaels, still in the box, obviously, on the display shelf and whatnot. I still have his. I also redid his 26 into an Ultimate as well, which I may show off in the future. But it's like you got when I first watched him to when he retired the first time. I don't collect every Shawn Michaels, but this one especially. Sad story about this one was I watched this match. Or I was watching. I was over at a buddy's house to watch WrestleMania. I was there the night before, and me and my girlfriend were at the time no longer together ever, but we broke up. We had broken up, and went over to his house, and I was just so just kind of distraught, just whatnot. And back in the day, me and the girlfriend, we shared an account together and whatnot, and she didn't block me or lock me out like that, but I found the messages that she'd been texting some guy in Texas, and they were very concerning, very disturbing. So what I did is up all night. You know, friends were messing with me and whatnot. You know, we were trying to have a good time. We were trying to, you know, have fun. I couldn't focus. I ended up walking all the way home. And it was a good, you know, at least 10 miles, you know, walking all the way home in the middle of the night. I got home at like 6 a.m. Um, she agreed to meet with me at the mall. She needed to get some stuff from me still. And what was funny is we ended up, you know, going to the mall. I was exhausted. I took the bus all the way back down to the mall in the morning, no sleep. She and me still broke up. We actually would get back together about a week later after her dad, because I was just concerned about how this dude was acting and how sketchy he looked. But her dad actually dropped her back off. But long story short, you know, I gave her some boba tea. We tried to talk it out. She says she's leaving. You know, she's going to go to Texas, and then she might come back up and talk to me or something like that. So I leave defeated. I go back. You know, my buddy calls me like, "Dude, where'd you go? You know, you just took off in the middle of the night." I went back over, apologized. Ended up watching this pay per view. Ended up watching pay per view. They recorded it for me. So, you know, I watched it over there, but I fell asleep pretty much all of WrestleMania 23 until this match came on. When I finally woke back up, mind you, I hadn't slept in hours. And then she came back for another year or so. That's a story for another time. But I do remember watching this, and I remember thinking Shawn was going to win this, even just for 1 month. He's just going to win the belt. He'll drop it back to Cena. You know, because originally the plan was for Triple H to win it back from Cena and give Cena like a month off or whatever it is. But nope, they swerved me. So I was a little upset with that. But because I wanted to see Shawn win that, you know, WWE title one more time, and he never did after that. So anyway, it's gone long enough. This is obviously been a trauma dump. But anyway, check back tomorrow for 131.